Invocation to the Lord. Dear Lord, allow my spirit to rise to your heights, to drink from the true fountains of wisdom, and absorb your powerful vibrations of love and faith, of purification and spiritual and material strength, of spiritual power, peace, understanding, health, prosperity, and harmony to pour over my brothers and sisters. Lesson 5. How to Act and Future Projections. The names of the elevated masters. The mission of Jesus. The mission of the Christ is a mission of faith and love. Therefore, it is not against any religion or group. It brings to the world the millenary teaching of its spiritual need. The definitive hour has come for humankind, when Jesus comes again to show it, for the last time, the path for its salvation. This time, he will not limit to a single group or country. He will manifest himself throughout the world. He will manifest in different beings as a direct instrument, according to the law of hierarchy, which establishes the perfect order for all spiritual or material evolution. His spirit will manifest in many channels, since, guiding his mission of love from the ether, he can be at once with all humankind and manifest himself everywhere. The mission of Jesus is not against any religious group. It is not against any human being. Within each religious group, there are beings who love God and their fellow men and women, in accordance with the divine law of love. And the mission of Jesus shall not exert any contrary influence on them. Each religion shall maintain its own form and shall maintain its believers and its own clergy in everything that is in conformity with the divine commandment of love. Love God above all things, and love thy neighbor as thyself. There are beings in every religion who have interpreted the divine law of love in due form. Those beings will maintain their spiritual ascendancy and will have nothing to fear. No religion is evil. Evil is in those who have distorted it and adapted it to their own ambition. The ambitious ones are the ones who will feel affected. This must be said anywhere you are accused of going against religion. Spiritualism is not against any religion, and the mission of Jesus comes only to unite all men and women who wish to approach God through the one and only path of truth. The spiritualist current was born long ago in the world, but in practice it was deviated towards material needs and desires. That is why, at this time, when the spiritual forces must take on such a great upsurge in humankind, it is essential that the spiritualist groups begin to unite, to recognize the guidance of the higher being who shall lead them on the true path. Spiritualism has already recognized Jesus the Christ as its Lord, and Christ is the one who will guide all the spiritualist groups until they form a single core that will receive similar instructions and guidelines, so that they can work together for the same idea of good, for the love of God and humankind. In the beginning, you will meet with spiritualistic groups that differ with your own tendencies. This is of no importance when there is a higher purpose. Through thousands and thousands of years, elevated spirits have manifested in different groups, leaving different teachings. If the teachings of all the groups are analyzed, it will be found that none of them goes against the other. They all converge towards the evolution of spirit and matter. To evolve is the need of spirit from the moment of its birth, and of the matter from the moment of its formation. Evolution is the law in creation, and everything created is subject to it. The lack of knowledge of this spiritual and material need of the human being is what has brought all the deviations that humankind has suffered from. It is required for humankind to know what it is and what it should be. Knowing this in spirit and in matter, for it to receive the knowledge that teaches it to live in accordance with this spiritual and material need. This is what the mission of Jesus now brings to the world, and the world will receive it, not only with joy, but also as something that has been long awaited for. The world will soon begin to live its true evolution, but the evolution must begin with its own spirit. The spiritual forces are the ones that must govern and guide the world and govern and guide the human being. Therefore, strive to improve yourselves, trying to free your spirit from those human ties that deform it and prevent its expansion, hindering its evolution. The mission of Jesus will work for the good of humanity and for the good of all disembodied beings, low beings, beings without light, who constantly approach humans, disturbing them and bringing contradictory deeds to their lives, beings who suffer due to their status and for their lack of light. Nothing will be able to oppose the work of Christ. However great the forces that may be conjured to attempt to counteract his effort, nothing will be accomplished. They will be nothing more than ostentations of evil, which is already known to have been defeated. Move forward calmly, work constantly with love, for we will accomplish the work through your faith and through your love. The work of the Christ is not an overpowering force, but a sweet force, a force of peace, a loving force. You will always possess a wonderful attraction that will make beings feel eager to approach you and to listen to your words. That attraction will greatly assist your task. It is often difficult to engage in conversation with beings who need to approach your group. The attraction that you will begin to exert will become more and more accentuated, and you will find it very easy to connect with your brothers and sisters. The more you use it with love, the more you work in the preparation of your brothers and sisters, the faster you will develop your own spiritual faculties. In many parts of the world, groups of beings are being prepared who feel the intense desire to connect with the elevated ones, and who achieve this through the purity of their soul and the elevation of their spirit. In some groups, the elevated beings have been named exactly as they are named in their groups. But in others, they take other names, which is unimportant as far as the spirit is concerned, just as the orientation given to the true teaching is also unimportant, for they all converge towards the same goal. From the spiritual point of view, the capacity of the being is so great that no human can determine it. In each group, the manifestations can be different. Some groups are formed apparently by chance, but they are formed by us according to the spiritual capacity and the need of the work. The manifestations are of a certain nature. For example, the manifestation of materialization. In that group, the human beings and the spiritual beings that are part of it have more ability and capacity for those manifestations. In other groups, these can be contributions of writing or direct word, or others in which the beings use their forces to handle the material forces without the intervention of a channel. In others, the elevated spiritual forces use the channels for the most profound teachings and for greater projection. Thus, all the groups will complement each other to form a whole that will embrace all the possible spiritual manifestations in this humankind. The mission of Jesus is working throughout the world to form the necessary climate for future manifestations. The manifestations obtained so far are the only ones possible within the present spiritual climate of humankind. But as the spiritual climate is purified, there will be manifestations of greater projections. The first step of the work of Christ in the world is the one you are taking, to bring the word of faith and love to your brothers and sisters, because it is a requirement that humankind produce a spiritual invocation for our forces to be able to approach Earth. The higher forces cannot descend to you except through your invocation, and the enormous joint forces that must approach the Earth to transform it require an invocation of a certain intensity to be able to do so. You, as instruments of the work, are taking the first steps in the world as pioneers of the Lord's faith and love to bring that faith and love to all your brothers and sisters. When that desire is born, the invocation will take place, and when that invocation acquires the required intensity, the forces from the higher will descend for the total spiritual and material transformation of this planet.